Well, good morning. This is Dave DeBerardinis. Today, we're going to talk about the most fundamental piece that you need to understand to lose the maximum amount of weight. And it's all around the word metabolism. Before I get into the ins and outs and the tips and tricks and like that kind of a thing on how to do it, I want to have a conversation and have you understand just how important it is to understand how our bodies got to where they are today. And once you understand that, the light bulbs are going to go off and you're going to see what you need to do today to be able to lose the most weight. So let's go back to your ancestors, okay? Not grandparents, great-grandparents, or even great-great-grandparents. Let's go back a few million years. And as the human body is developing in its environment, obviously no restaurants, obviously no grocery stores. Thinking about it, you may not have had food 3 times a day. Maybe it was once every 2 or 3 days. Maybe it was with your tribe or your extended family. They found an animal, I'll call it a wildebeest, and they killed an animal. And then maybe that was good for a couple of weeks. And then the herd of animals had moved. And so you weren't getting more food on a consistent basis, and your bodies had to learn how to adapt. Now, I know that you guys who are watching this, your family tree learned how to do this. The family trees that did not learn how to do this, how to adapt, and they're gone now, okay? So you're the success. You're part of the lineage that was successfully learned how to adapt to food showing up and then periods of food not showing up. So let's talk about what that means in a real sense, and then we'll apply it to today, okay? So millions of years ago, you had food, it showed up, whether the crops, it was a good time of year and you were able to eat some vegetables, or maybe you killed a beast and that lasted for a week, a few weeks, depending on how big your tribe was. And then maybe there were periods where you did not have food. And your bodies started understanding if they were going to survive, and this wasn't a conscious thing, this was evolution, literally over millions of years, that the body began storing fats. And then the body also, because of these long periods of not knowing when it was going to be fed, the body would not give up those fats until more food started showing up and you started eating more on a consistent basis. And it learned after millions and millions of years, if it didn't do that, the host body would die, okay? So over these millions of years, your bodies have learned how to pull the fat out, how to store the fat, and more importantly, in today's discussion, what has your body release that fat to help it in today for you to lose weight? And here's why I asked that, and I think all of you, and I'm going to pick since most of my clients used to be women, I'm going to pick on the women because it's fun. And we're going to talk about what it means. So all of you have probably found a set point, a place where you're like, I could just lose these last 20 pounds, right? We've heard you said that probably. Most people you know have said that. What are they saying really? What's really going on there? And what's really happening is your body has found, for survival's sake, a place where it's not going to give up the fats almost no matter what you do, okay? That's what's happening. So we got to figure out how the body really works. And so we can start to work with it in a way that's really efficient. And there's different ways to do that. In this video, I'm not going to get into some of those specifics, but I really want you to get how your body works. It'll just flip on the light switch for you. So most of you, if not all, are not eating enough. Now let's go back to our story and let's see how that applies. When your ancestors' bodies were not getting enough food, they learned how to go into what we'll call survival mode. In survival mode, they're not going to give up the fats until they absolutely have to, okay? So that's over extended periods of time that the body is not getting enough nutrition. And so the body learned how to store fats. Now, even though it's storing fats and your body needs energy, and if you're not eating, if your ancestors weren't eating, your body started being able to cannibalize the muscle, right, instead of the fats, because fats, it knew after millions of years, was more important not to give up. Well, in today's society, for most of you who are not eating enough, and that's another way of saying your body is in survival mode, and I'm going to show you in a minute to figure out how much your body needs to eat just to maintain your weight. I would suggest that most of you, 95% of you, are not eating enough. And because of that, you're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, your fats, your body's not going to give up the fats. It will, however, cannibalize muscle, whether it's chest, arms, legs. It'll cannibalize the muscle to preserve the body. That's what your ancestors learned over millions and millions of years, and they were successful at it. And the reason we know they're successful is you're here today, right? So if the body is holding on to the fats, and you're in these crazy, not even crazy diets, but a lot of the diets are crazy because you're not eating enough for your body to get edified, to get the nutrients, so it's in survival mode. Now, by the way, when you're hungry, that's your body's signal. It's not your signal to eat. That's how we've interpreted it in our society. When your body gives you the hunger pains, it's saying, I'm in survival mode. It's saying I need to eat. In fact, it's saying I needed to eat 30 minutes ago. Because if you're not getting the proper nutrition and eating on a consistent basis, your body has learned, again, over millions of years, how to shut down, and it will not give up the fats. Here's an example. Most of you have been on diets, and most of you think that you should only be taking in 1,200 calories a day, right? And I'm going to show you in a minute how much you should be taking in, and I'll show you how to figure it out for yourself. And it's really simple on a website. But let's say over the course of a few months that you're not getting enough food going into your system, so your body is in survival mode. It then is not going to touch the fats. It will cannibalize your muscles, and your muscles are what actually metabolize. Your muscles are actually, your lean muscle mass is what actually is burning the calories from the food you eat. Okay, so if your fats aren't going to be touched, but your body is willing to cannibalize the muscle in your body, the lean muscle, what happens is, because you've really cut back on what you're eating, you have lost some weight. So maybe you've lost 10 pounds. But have you ever noticed that in the next 40 to 60 days, you put that weight back on? And then, and here's the kicker, not only do you put that 10 pounds back on, but you always put an extra 2 or 3 pounds more. Have you ever wondered why? The reason you've put on not only the 10 pounds, but a few pounds more, you have less lean muscle mass. That's actually what's supposed to be burning up the fuel that you're eating. And if you have less muscle mass, that means your body is turning more of that into fat, which is storing it, and you continue not to edify the body with enough food. And as you hit 40, 50, and 60, you start feeling pudgy, and you are pudgy because you got fats. You've lost muscle mass, which was doing all the burning, and you've got more fats. So the question becomes, how much food do you need to be taking? Let me share my screen with you. I did a Google search of how many calories should I eat? Okay, something really simple like that. Let's just share just one of the websites I found. Here we go. I think that's it. No, let's just do there. Boom. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing this on my screen over here, and it's a calculator.net. That was the name of the website. And let's just do a couple things. We'll put the age to 40, and we'll say 5, 6, and we're going to make it female. And let's keep it at 165 pounds. Moderate exercise. Man, most people are doing sedentary or just light. So let's do that. And let's calculate how much do you think that person needs to be eating just to maintain the weight? Let's find out. 1,973 calories a day. I'll wait till the cussing stops. I'll wait. That's just to maintain your weight. Now, obviously, if you want to be on a diet, you're gonna reduce that by a couple hundred calories a day, right? And I'll share something in another video called the zigzag diet, which actually uses lower calories for a couple of days and then bumping it up to higher calories to throw your metabolism off, to throw it off that set point. But today, I really want you to get the concept of what it means, how much food that you need. So if you're 165 pounds, 40-year-old woman, 165 pounds, you need 1,973. Now, if you are down at that 1,200, 1,300, I'm going to have some small salads and maybe a little, some fruit. you're in survival mode. Your body has shut down. And like I said earlier, when you start getting hungry, your body is already in survival mode. You should have eaten 20, 30 minutes ago before you started getting hungry. The sign of hunger isn't, oh, it's time to eat. The sign of hunger is you're in survival mode already. You've waited too long to eat. So if you're eating, and then a lot of people won't have a breakfast or a lunch, and then they'll have these massive dinners. Your body doesn't need all those calories in one meal. So what does it do with the extra calories? It turns it to fat. Your body doesn't trust you that it's going to get food on a consistent basis, just like your ancestors. It's not going to get food on a consistent basis. So anything it doesn't need at that moment is going to fat. Is this starting to resonate with you guys? Now, if you're eating every 2 or 3 hours before, actually, you should eat before you get hungry. And people go, well, that's nuts. How do I know I'm hungry? Just start eating every 2 to 3 or 4 hours. It can be 5 or 6 almonds with some cottage cheese. It could be something really simple to keep your body. Then your body is actually using that and metabolizing, and you're not going into survival mode. After a week or two of that, your body's going to begin to trust you, and it'll start releasing the fats. Okay? Same thing with water. Why do you drink water? I know everybody says you got to drink, and you should. Half ounce for every pound of body, right? If you're 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces a day of water. And I would make that above and beyond your ZipSlim. If you're 200 pounds, that's 100 ounces a day. Water helps move the toxins out of the body. And one of the theories on toxins is our body produces fat to keep the toxins, and the fat goes around our organs to keep the toxins away from our organs. Okay. So as you start losing weight, and as you start exercising more, we'll talk about lean muscle mass again, but as you start exercising more, those toxins are now in your blood system. You feel a little, some people get a little feverish, get a little lightheaded because all those toxins are back in the system. Water flushes that out. Also, if you're drinking at least a half ounce for every pound of your body weight per day or more, after about a week, your body's going to start trusting you. The first couple of days, you're going to find every place to pee in your town, right? Whenever you're out, you're going to, I mean, it's like every 30 minutes, right? But after 4 or 5 days, a week or so of drinking that much water, your body starts to trust you that water is coming on a consistent basis, and it'll drop its water weight. It'll drop that extra water that it doesn't need to carry, just like food. If you're eating on a consistent basis and edifying yourself with enough food, your body's going to start releasing the extra fats. It doesn't need it. So you're not going to, you got to think about your ancestors for millions and millions of years. This is what developed to have you be here today. You've got to work within the system that's there. You're not going to change it. Okay. I had one of my flight physicals many years ago was a retired Navy doctor. And at the time I was vegetarian, and had been that way for about 10 years. And he was saying, how's your eating going? And I told him I was vegetarian. He just looked at me, and I was probably in my late 30s, and he was in his early 70s, I think. He said, let me tell you something, son. He said, predators have eyes in the front of their head. The ones they chase that only eat vegetables have eyes on the side of their head. Your eyes are in the front of your head. You're not going to change evolution in this one lifetime. So just be aware there may be some things you're missing from your food if you're not getting those types of proteins. Anyway, it just cracked me up, because I'm having the same kind of conversation with you. You're not going to change. You're not going to change millions of years of how your ancestors were in this world. Okay. I think, by the way, I think being a vegetarian is awesome. You can get a lot of great proteins out of that. We know more about it today. And if that's the way you go, fantastic. I got back on meats. I was in Montana. I've been a vegetarian for 12 years, and there was this big bison steak, and I went, I'm in. So that changed in a day. So anyway, so number one, you want to eat on a consistent basis. Number two, you want to get enough food in you, like this chart says. Let's play with this chart a little bit. So 1973, isn't that crazy? So if we're back down here, that's 165 pounds, 5'6". Wow. What if you're a 200-pound gal and you're exercising lightly? Let's see what that shows up. 2,100 calories a day. And I know 90% of you are down at 1,200, 1,300. So now that you know how your ancestors' bodies progressed and gave you your body, what's happening to your body? Are you seeing the examples of how it's storing more fat that you're just like, I can't get away. I can't lose this weight. Okay. So number one, I want you to be aware of how much you need to eat. And so a website like this, it was calculator.net, but I think the / here was calorie-calculator or something like that. But you can Google it, right? You can get all this. So not only with your food, you want to make sure you're eating on a consistent basis so your body begins to trust you, because right now I'm telling you, your body does not trust you with food or with water. That's why it's holding on to both the fats and the water. Okay. So you feel bloated. You're not the sexy self that you want to be. You weren't like you were as a kid, where you could do goofy things in terms of your eating and drinking water, and your body was still catching up and taking care of it. The older we get, it doesn't work as well because you're supposed to be smarter by now, right? So this is your wake-up call. Welcome. This is your wake-up call. So that's a calorie calculator. And for me, at 230 pounds, I'm 6'2". Mine's about 3,000 calories a day. Are you kidding me? But here's the deal. When Joy and I went through a workout program called P90X by Beachbody, I went up to 3,000 calories a day. I started dropping fat and dropping weight. I got lean. I had a six-pack. I thought I only had a chest. It was a six-pack. I thought I had the whole cooler for years. And that six-pack came from eating enough food. So I know it seems to make sense that we have a little bit of food. Let's go take this off here. I know it seems to make sense that if I put less in my mouth, it should produce less in my body. That's true to a point, but if you're not edifying your body on what it needs, it goes back to where your ancestors has trained it, and that is to go into survival mode, which is storing fats, not giving it up. I don't give a damn why or what you want. You're not getting what you want, right? So drinking plenty of water, eating on a consistent basis. And I mean, 3 meals a day, great. 4 or 5 meals a day, better, because your body never shuts down. It keeps moving, okay? And it keeps metabolizing. Now, let's get over to, we were talking about muscle mass, lean muscle mass. So in that example, if you lost 10 pounds because you're on a really low caloric diet, and then you always put it back on and you always add a couple pounds to it, right? And you add a couple pounds because you've lost some of your muscle mass. The body is going to cannibalize the muscle, and it's not going to touch the fat. That's not what the ancestors for millions of years in your family did. That's not what worked. So you now have less muscle mass. So one way to burn more of metabolize more of your food and burn fat is to work out. Now, most women that we talk about say, hey, you need to lift weights. And they go, oh, I don't want to get big. Well, let me talk about that for a minute. You don't have the testosterone to get big like a guy. Okay? You just don't. You can, there are some techniques if you want to get your muscles a little bunchier, where it's a little more compact, and you've got something showing here, right? You can do that. That's really simple. You'll take as heavy a weight as you can, move, like doing curls. If you can only do 5, 6, 7, or 8 repetitions with that size of weight, it's going to help bunch your muscle up. But if you also want to create lean muscle mass and you don't want to get bunchy, you want to stay smooth, slender, long, a guy can do this too. Take a lower weight and do 12, 16, 20 repetitions. But those last 3 or 4 repetitions, they need to be tough, okay? You're going to develop more lean muscle. More lean muscle is going to metabolize. It's going to burn more of your fats. It's going to burn more of your food, so it won't turn into fats, right? And as you're losing weight, you're going to be able to keep it off. Even if you put some back on, you're not going to put that additional 2 or 3 pounds back on it. Okay, so moving your body, walking's great. I understand that. If you don't want to join the gym, especially in our crazy times right now in the country, you can sit there as you're watching TV. You can use your seat and just put your feet down flat on the floor and stand up and sit, not quite sit back down, just touch your butt and do leg presses, right? You're just doing squats up and down. During a commercial, do 10 of those. Next commercial, I grabbed a can of olives we had at the house and I weighed it on our kitchen scale. It was right at 16 ounces, 1 pound. That's not heavy for me, but if you took 2 cans, the next commercial, you did curls. The next commercial, You have the can in the hand and you're just reaching up and reaching up and you're doing here, right? Which is where most women get that, that with the parade wave, you get this little wing down here. Well, you can work on that. What if you're watching a half-hour show and every commercial you did an exercise? You just added lean muscle mass, guys, is what you did, really simply, without being in a gym. I love a gym, but I've been working out downstairs in our basement. We have some basic dumbbells, and that range from 2 pounds up to 20 pounds each, and that's plenty. I'm not looking to get big. I'm looking to stay lean. That's a different conversation. So don't be afraid of weights. In fact, you ought to be running toward them more than just pure cardio. Lifting weights will do a long-term help you lose weight, keep it off. Okay. So let's do a little summary here. I think I covered basically what I wanted to cover. So let's go back over to, let's see if I can get this. Success tips. Okay. So number one success tip, make sure you're eating enough. Most of you are not. Okay. One of the most important things you can look at. So using this, I don't think I did this. Yes, I did. Okay. Making sure you're eating enough food and you're eating it on a consistent basis. Okay. So often enough, 2 or 3 hours, taking that same amount of calories, and it doesn't have to be hard, guys. This doesn't have to be, you got to sit there with the calculator and figure it. Maybe you figure it out one time and have your snack. So you have a breakfast, then a snack, have a lunch, and then a snack, and then dinner, right? Maybe it's 5 times a day, but you're getting 200-300 per meal or per time. And it could be as simple as 7 or 8 almonds in half avocado. It could be, that's just simple snacks, right? You can carry with you, can take to work or whatever. So, but you want to make sure you're eating often enough to keep your metabolism going and it's not turning it into fat, and you're not left at the end of the day with some big meal, which I know tastes good, right? But we talked about in another video about if you're eating meat and potatoes and it's sitting there in your stomach, it's not digesting, well, a lot of it's going to go to fat, right? So you want to make sure you're eating often enough so you don't have a huge meal because your body doesn't need all those calories at that moment. The rest of it is going to store in fats because that's what your family does. Move your body. Get out and move. Take a walk. Do jumping jacks, jump up and down. Kind of run softly in place. There's so many things you can do. I know we were in the living room. I was reading the other day, and Joy drops down and just starts doing some sit-ups, just flexing the core muscles, right? Absolutely doable. Add lean muscle, work out, do squats. You can do body weight. You don't need any equipment. You can use your body for everything. You can get down and do push-ups. You can start on your knees, or I lean against, stay 3 feet back from your kitchen counter. Put your hands on the corner of the counter where it's on the top and the bottom, and where it goes down in front of your cabinets, and lean into it and push back and lean it. You can do that, and those are the big muscles of the chest. There's so many things you can do. You can go buy a set of bands. Those elastic bands. They're fantastic. They replicate weights. And you can Google. In fact, you can learn more stuff on YouTube. I call it YouTube University. And just get a great little 15, 20-minute workout every day. And then go take a walk. Ride your bike. Get out. Breathe the air. Get the sunshine. Vitamin D, right? But you definitely want to add lean muscle to this. Keep your water uptake to remove more toxins and lower your weight faster, okay? Again, first couple of days, it's going to feel tough. You're going to be peeing all over town. After your body starts trusting you, it'll release the water weight. Same thing with your food. Once you start trusting that there's not going to be space in between this wildebeest and 3 weeks later, like your family heritage has taught you, and knows it's going to get fed consistently, it's going to start releasing the extra fats. Your metabolism is hugely important. So I recommend you look up on one of these websites and search it on how much calories do I need to eat, and plug it in. It'll blow your mind. I just showed you 150 or 165 and then 200 pounds. Probably a lot more than you're eating right now. So you need a good basis to start from. If you're under 1,200 calories a day, man, you really need to be seeing a doctor, because that's just not enough to edify your body. And I'll guarantee you're in survival mode. So try to eat before you're hungry. I know that seems crazy, but try to eat before you're hungry, because you don't want to go in survival. And by the way, same thing with drinking. When you're thirsty, you're not starting to be dehydrated. You are dehydrated. That's the signal from your body that you've waited too long. So sipping on water throughout the day, get your ZipSlim in there. That could be part of your water intake, or make it extra. It's okay if you do extra. You'll have results even faster, right? So I hope this helps you get a good understanding of your metabolism and what your metabolism, what it really, really does, right? How it got to be the way it is and how you can best work with it. It's about getting enough food, drinking enough water, and doing them both on a consistent basis, and then getting exercise to develop lean muscle mass. If you'll take these ideas and run with it, you're going to find success, okay? So I hope you found this useful and something that you can apply today. This is Dave DeBaradinas, actually zooming in today from Burlington, Vermont. Have a fabulous rest of your day. You absolutely deserve it. Bye for now.